A lot of you are struggling to come up with good UX case studies and to do so on your own time as a side activity. And so what I'm going to give you today is a very tangible, very sizable chunk of a challenge to then go explore, solve it, and then use that as a UX case study for your portfolios, or just simply practice a part of a UX process or end-to-end UX process, or just jump into UI design. It's really up to you how you want to skin this cat. Hey, what is up? Welcome back, Design Squad. And in this video, we're gonna continue on our design challenges. Because in the past, we did some Axure UX prototyping challenges and gave you feedback, and we kind of discussed it, how to make it better. But today we have a new UX research, design, prototyping challenges. What I'm gonna talk to you about today is the voting experience. Besides all the political affiliation and all the other jazz, if we skip the politics of the choice, but we think about how to provide a better experience so that hundreds of millions of people who actually submit their vote actually get it right. Historically speaking, these are the few examples of ballots and how they look like and how terrible they are. You don't need to deconstruct this paper UI much to understand that it could be improved massively. I don't even know what's going on here. There is this finger thing. Overall, all the voting, manual, post-in person, could be improved massively. And this is the touch point I want you to address in this challenge. I'm gonna link it down below so you can see all these different bits, but here is the gist of it. And you can actually dig deeper and get more insights and put more detail to this. But we know that voters don't fill in all required fields. For example, in 2018, 9% of people skipped the voting section of a ballot entirely, voiding it. 1 in 10 people votes because they didn't figure out that they needed to put additional checkbox in. And as you can see, this is how it looked like in Mississippi. You mark one, they're all listed in this way. There is a lot of text, there is a lot of secondary boxes. You also need to turn it to continue, things of that nature. Another issue from business perspective, from government perspective, is that if I want to vote for, let's say in this example, Al Gore, I would need to mark it in that specific section instead of the one above, which kind of lines up well in between George Bush and Al Gore. And so the result of that crappy design here, based on that report, by 537 vote margin, Al Gore lost the presidency. This is how important the ballot system is and how flawed it can be. And it's not just in the US, it's everywhere around the world. So the opportunity to improve this is massive. If you can approach this in proper UX mindset, document it, you are just gonna end up with the best case study ever. Because it's not just digital, maybe you're going to improve the service design of it, just approach holistically and improve multiple touch points at once, or at least research and provide some sort of suggestions of what could be improved. Other issues, lack of standardization. Different counties use a lot of different methods to capture the insight. Citizen trust issues. And as a result of all those different bits, why is there such a low turnout? Could get so many more people involved and encourage them to get engaged in politics and actually give a vote. And then from the user perspective, from the citizen perspective, you have confusing ballots. You have time spending just to understand what ballot means. Let's look at it again. I would need to read it through so I'm not making any mistakes, double check it, make a vote, figure out how to put it in the right place. Time spent to fulfill the duty. There's a lot of planning involved. The voting doesn't just happen, when you feel like it. It happens on a specific dates, in a specific range, so you have to take a time off if you are working professional. You have to queue potentially. If you don't queue, you use mailing ballots, then you need to account for that as well. How to handle it best. There's just a lot of different friction, a lot of touch points any person could take. And then uncertainty of what happens after you're done with that. Where does it go? Is it actually counted? Like, where is that status kept? And this is on a super high level here, as you can see. So there's definitely many more pain point areas and opportunity areas, but that's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to go and explore in this challenge, unpack. I gave you a bit of the outline of what the users are like, factors like voting experience before, trust in the process, tech savviness, engagement in politics, political awareness. All of this is super high level in general, but this is an opener for you to go and dig deeper and see, does that actually stack up or not? As well as some UI examples of current ballots, so maybe you can improve on it. Maybe it's a redesign of a paper ballot, or maybe it's a service improvement as a whole with the digital touch points as well as the peripheral touchpoints. I also captured for you some resources like the design principles, design system link. Again, you don't have to take this as granted. This is just to help you out if you want to do it a bit more proper, because you can make a really decent case study if you focus and use, those limiting factors. If you can figure out how to solve this issue with the feasibility, viability, and desirability from all the different aspects, you're gonna come up with much stronger case study. And lastly, I gave you a few different bits of qualitative insights. So let's say if you don't have an access to a user, the minimum you should do for this challenge, just read the comments. What do actual people say? What emotions they display? Group the different bits into cohorts so you know where the biggest wins are, and just explore. Do Google, reach out to actual people. If you're fortunate enough to be in US, or you have your own voting experience, or maybe your partner or family member did it, go ahead and ask them questions. Do your research. It's going to benefit the outcome, and you can actually make a better case study. And lastly, I added a few example actions and general suggestions of what would I do, let's say in this case. Given the background information, you would definitely want to discover a bit further, you would definitely want to ideate, you would definitely want to go into definition, and in that order, it's up to you how you want to skin a cat. If you want to do proper UX, do it end-to-end and deep, given the time limit, or you can jump immediately and redesign it. If you just want to do, let's say, UI design, and that's what, you're happy with, definitely do that. But what I would do, I would, use the research at least at minimum to familiarize yourself of what's going on and what do real people face, what challenges, what pain points, where the opportunities are at. Then maybe make some proto personas of which ones you want to target first. As mentioned before, you could target any one of each of these segments. Perhaps what you want to do is target a young adult who never voted before, who just turned 18, and this is your testing subject for user testing later on, and maybe a trial subject. And all you want to do is make them from low experience in voting to higher to medium experience. Maybe trust the process a bit more, so turn them into mid. Maybe engagement in politics should go up. Maybe political awareness should go up. How can you do that with your new solution? So maybe this is your target person. Decide which ones are the most appropriate, so it's meaningful and you can get the most outcome and the most evidence that it's a success or not. And then of course, deeply understanding as is voting process. Mapping the journeys comes very solid foundation for your UX project if you understand the process as is. End-to-end with peripherals, not just digital touchpoints, because there are no digital touchpoints right now as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong, but the mail-in, you could map that out and understanding in such a depth that it's becomes almost like a failure proof if you can implement on those touch points. If you see the heat maps, where all the issues lie and what you can do better. There's a few different bits you can do here, like how might we storyboard the new vision of the experience, prioritize the areas, lo-fi sketches, which ones are gonna provide you with the biggest range of touch points, you can test it. What are the hypotheses? Is it desirable for users to use digital touch points, or is it that improvement to existing paper forms would be better? If you unpack it, you're definitely gonna end up with a decent UX case study, or at least a UI design conceptual case study. Talking about the technical bits, I'm gonna give you a solid month. You can just email me with some rationale. If you can document the case study, make maybe a sort of a deck, maybe a prototype, things of that nature, whatever is easiest for me to view and understand where you're coming from. Or maybe it's a Miro board like what I have now, just to download everything and say this is what the new experience look like, this is what the old bits are, and this is why you did what you did. And so if you want to participate, submit it by 1st of February. This is hard cutoff, and then the following week or week after, I'm gonna review submissions on a live stream. You can achieve a lot or you can achieve a little. It's up to you how much time you can spend and how much time you can allocate. And with the tools, before we used Axure exclusively, now use whatever you want. Of course, bonus points if you can use something solid like Axure. As per usual as well, I would challenge you to pick and challenge yourself a little bit. What is one method or couple of methods you haven't done before? If you haven't done user research properly, why not to invest a little bit of time and do that first? And so maybe you need to focus a bit more on that. If you end up with just wireframes, but you focus on user research, maybe that's okay. Maybe that's exactly what you should be doing, because you already have a lot of UI work examples. why not to shift a little bit focus and become a bit more holistic UX designer? Maybe that's what your portfolio lacks right now, so do that. I really look forward to your submissions. If you like this video, give a like, smash that subscription button if you haven't subscribed yet, and on that note, I'll see you next time.